the childhood sweetheart I had chased for 4 years. Willow officially announced her relationship with my fake brother on my birthday. Yet I wasn't flustered at all. Instead, I calmly wiped my hands and smoothly grabbed the hand of Willow's sworn rival standing beside me, Anna, the school beauty, and shot them a provocative look. Facing the school beauty's icy gaze, so cold it felt like she wanted to kill me, I thought she would yank her hand away the next second and slap me hard across the face. But to my surprise, she leaned in and kissed my cheek in front of everyone. I was stunned. Willow exploded. Chapter 1. George, are you crazy? Willow shot to her feet and demanded angrily when she saw me holding the campus belle's hand. There was even a trace of cold hostility on her face. If there hadn't been so many people between us, she might have torn me apart alive. I sneered. Who are you to me? What gives you the right to control me? Her momentum immediately dropped by half. Willow and I grew up together. She had top grades, the kind of perfect child every parent compared their own kid to. Since middle school, she'd always had a group of boys orbiting around her. She was gentle and considerate, attentive in everything. I couldn't even count how many times she'd tutored me over the years. Whenever I got sleepy and dazed, her soft hand would rub my head, and she'd say indulgently, "You little dummy, fell asleep again." God, who could possibly resist that? Of course I fell for her, but somewhere along the way, she lost that gentleness and patience toward me. This was the first time she'd ever snapped at me, and also the last. Beside her, Makoto spoke in a deliberately pitiful tone. "George, if you're upset about Willow and me being together, then I'll break up with her." The pretentious coquette energy was overwhelming. I could practically hear the scheming from a mile away. I didn't buy into his act. Break up or don't, I don't care. But Willow fell right for it. "George, you've really disappointed me." I couldn't help laughing. People blinded by love are truly terrifying. Anna, who had been cold-faced the whole time, suddenly leaned close. Her lips were almost brushing my earlobe, her hot breath spilling against my neck. It was an intimate posture, almost like she was kissing me. She let out a low chuckle, pulling me back from my spectator's mindset, and asked, "Had your fun?" "What?" I panicked, because I hadn't warned her in advance about this little face-slapping stunt. I'd used her without telling her. Anna was Willow's roommate, and her sworn rival. In every school-level competition, Anna took first place, Willow second. Willow hated being the eternal runner-up, and from then on, she hated Anna too. The best way to get back at Willow was to win over her mortal enemy and piss her off to death. The problem? The person in front of me was like an iceberg, impossible to melt. I had chased her for a full month, and she still kept that same icy expression, cold and silent. Even getting her to attend my birthday party required shameless pleading on my part. I'd only pulled that stunt earlier because I got carried away in the heat of the moment. The confidence I had just minutes ago was now completely gone. I hooked my finger around hers and whispered for help. "Help me out. Okay, I don't want to embarrass myself anymore." Her smile vanished instantly, her face returning to its glacial state. Through clenched teeth, she said, "George, you've got some nerve." The moment she finished speaking, she had already left the private room in long strides. It felt like an invisible hand was tearing at my heart, dull, throbbing pain. For the next 2 weeks, I didn't go looking for Anna. I didn't even dare send her a single apology message on WeChat. Thanks to Makoto's embellishments, rumors spread like wildfire across the academy. I had pursued the campus belle and been dumped instead. The confession wall was flooded with anonymous posts targeting me. Plenty of people mocked me as a toad lusting after a swan. In their eyes, daring to pursue the campus belle was a capital offense. Was I a toad lusting after a swan? I don't know. But I did have selfish motives for pursuing her. A month before my birthday, I had already caught Willow and Makoto acting intimate, fingers intertwined, faces glowing with sweetness. The air was thick with that nauseating smell of romance. In that moment, I felt utterly ridiculous. It's not that she didn't understand, she just didn't like you. And Makoto, knowing full well that I liked Willow, didn't even bother hiding it. With a few small tricks, he reeled her in. I wanted revenge. I'd planned to humiliate them badly on my birthday. But I lost completely at the very first step. Somewhere along the way, I think I started falling for Anna. Chapter 2. Anna was a celebrity on campus, fair-skinned, beautiful, radiating an air of abstinent aloofness, like an untouchable flower blooming on a high mountain. Even such an icy campus belle had her own hardships. For example, she was broke, a financially struggling school beauty. What I heard most from Willow was that Anna juggled 6 or 7 part-time jobs a week. You could barely see her in the dorm. I genuinely pitied her situation. When I was pursuing her, I almost wanted to hand over all my allowance to her. Anna. Anna. I hugged a bottle of liquor and muttered her name, regretting what I'd done that day. If I hadn't acted on impulse, I'd probably have already won her over. The more I thought about it, the more miserable I felt. I burst into tears. Maybe I could have even kissed her by now. A voice, cold as ice shards, suddenly rang out. "Who do you want to kiss?" Anna. Of course. Her big chest looked so tempting. I licked my lips like a love-struck idiot. Smug beyond belief. I wasn't bragging. I'd seen it with my own eyes once. It was a soak-through moment. Pure wet shirt temptation. I almost drooled to death. Pouting. I felt even worse and took another huge gulp of alcohol. George, stop drinking. If you drink any more, I'll break your legs. The voice sounded again. Fierce this time. I immediately slammed the bottle onto the table. Why are you yelling? You're definitely never getting a boyfriend. I blinked at her. Delicate nose, red lips, deep-set eyes. Even her lazy, impatient expression was stunning. My friend hadn't lied to me. It was just, why do you look exactly like Anna? I muttered under my breath. The next second, the woman's face darkened dangerously, with her slender, pale hand gripping the back of my neck. She dragged me out of the bar as easily as hauling a chick. I thought to myself, this beauty sure is meddlesome. She pinned me against a wall, looking at me as if I were an absolute idiot. Look carefully. Do you know who I am? The alcohol hit fast. I patted her cheek and grinned. A gorgeous beauty. Want to add each other on WeChat? Before she could respond, I had already pulled up my QR code and held my phone in front of her. Her eyes turned vicious. George. Present. I held up my phone and thought she was way too fierce. Afraid she might actually break my legs, I quickly withdrew it. Fine. Don't add me then. Early the next morning, I was jolted awake by a barrage of phone calls. My head was splitting with pain. Eyes closed, I answered. My eardrums nearly burst from the other end's frantic voice. George, you finally picked up. Where did you run off to last night? I shot upright in bed, rubbing my temples and looking around. The room was entirely white, minimalist, cold, expensive. A dangerous thought popped into my mind. This decorating style felt very Anna. Oh no, don't tell me. Was this about to turn into some melodramatic, drunken boy loses his virginity cliché? My eyelids twitched violently. I'm a terrible drunk. I black out easily, but the alcohol I had last night wasn't strong enough for that. Fragments of memory flashed through my mind. The embarrassment nearly paralyzed me. How did I even dare? Flirting with Anna like that. I vaguely brushed my friend off. I'm at a friend's place. Don't worry. What friend do you even? Before they could start prying, I hung up first. My clothes were completely intact, which, to my slight disappointment, meant that lost my virginity fantasy was purely in my imagination. I rolled wildly on the bed in excitement. Ah! Clutching the blanket, I looked up, and met Anna's indifferent gaze as she leaned against the doorframe. She seemed to be mocking me. Let's see what outrageous nonsense you dare say now. I was speechless. This was a minor disaster. George. Her voice was languid. Even when she sounded fierce, there was an inexplicable allure to it. Chapter 3. I immediately burrowed under the blanket. Rarely seen. A flush crept up Anna's long, pale neck, spreading upward like a perfectly cooked shrimp. Was the campus belle, blushing. She coughed lightly, sounding rather helpless. George, can you be serious for once? My gaze drifted boldly over her. Since I'd already made a fool of myself, I doubled down shamelessly. No, if there's a chance and you don't take it, that's just a waste. To be honest, I regretted it the second I said that. The embarrassment hit me late but hard. My face burned fiercely. I probably looked more like that overcooked shrimp than she did. The air froze in awkward silence. Ashamed, I pulled the blanket higher, revealing only my eyes. I decided to play pitiful and strike first. Anna, I'm sorry about yesterday. I didn't do anything bad, right? My memory's terrible when I drink. Anna, however, seemed entertained. With her long, pale fingers still holding a glass of water, she walked straight toward me. She thoughtfully handed me the water, then crossed her arms and put on an expression as if recalling something too unspeakable. You mean kissing me? She began. Or calling me wife. She bit down hard on the word wife, sounding distinctly reluctant. What? Cough, cough, cough. I choked so hard tears streamed down my face, staring at her in disbelief. Could this get any more outrageous? I kissed Anna and called her my wife. I sniffed and quickly protested. That's nonsense. We hadn't even actually kissed. Anna suddenly leaned down, her beautiful face magnified in front of mine, close enough that I could see the fine downy hairs on her skin. Didn't you say your memory was bad? She asked, then wickedly patted my cheek, mirroring the shameless flirt I'd been the night before. Looks pretty good to me. It's just your drinking manners that are bad. For the next several days, I kept my head down and stayed far away from Anna. But fate had other plans. A heavy snowstorm trapped me and Anna inside the campus bookstore cafe. To be precise, I was the one trapped there, hiding from the snow. Anna just happened to be working part-time at the milk tea counter. In the dead of winter, she wore a cream-colored sweater, methodically preparing drinks. Even the simplest movements looked refined in her hands. I had to admit, Anna's hands were beautiful, delicate, fair, slender, like they were drawn straight out of a manga. How could someone grow up hitting every single aesthetic ideal? Baka Yarrow. Take her down. Need anything? A calm voice interrupted my thoughts. I curved my eyes in a smile and ordered a taro boba milk tea. No taro. No milk tea. Anna's fingers tapped swiftly on the ordering screen. When she came back to herself, the air pressure around her had clearly dropped. George, are you always this casual with everyone? I was genuinely helpless. I just wanted to crack a joke. How did that make me seem easygoing in a bad way? With a good attitude, I obediently apologized. Sorry, I'll treat you to dinner to make it up to you. Okay. No time. Then a movie. I'm working. Speechless. I was out of ideas. The students behind me kept urging me to hurry up and order, and impatience flickered in Anna's eyes. Finally, I came up with a compromise. Then I'll wait for you over there. She replied coolly, if you're waiting for the snow to stop, you don't have to make it sound so nice. Bad things happen every year. This year, they seemed determined to happen all at once. Willow pushed the door open, holding Makoto's hand. The two of them were so intimate it was as if they were afraid no one would know they were practically conjoined twins. Wasn't it obvious enough already that I'd been betrayed? Since the fallout last time, this was the first time I'd seen them again. The smug gleam in Makoto's eyes, like Willow was some priceless treasure he had to guard tightly, was impossible to miss. Chapter 4. But I knew Makoto was only interested on a whim. Since high school, the girls around him had changed one after another, probably because Willow and I hadn't attended the same high school. She knew nothing about his romantic history. When the clock struck 6, I didn't spare them a single glance. I walked straight to the counter. Before I could even speak, Makoto had already climbed onto his self-righteous moral high ground to condemn me. George, I know you resent us, but there's still such a thing as first come, first served when ordering. Yeah, exactly. The other guys nearby suddenly chimed in. Was this never going to end? Do people think I'm an idiot just because I don't lose my temper? Makoto, don't call my name. It disgusts me. Understand? What do you mean resent? Anyone who steals a friend's girlfriend deserves to be struck by lightning. I should be thanking you for taking that trash woman off my hands. Every trash can needs a matching lid. The moment I finished, I felt completely refreshed. All the pent-up frustration from the past 2 weeks finally poured out. Willow stepped out from behind Makoto, her face filled with utter disappointment. George, you've really disappointed me. If Uncle and Auntie knew you were with her, lowering yourself like this, they'd be devastated. I burst out laughing. My parents had always disapproved of how close I was to Willow. If I could actually make Anna my girlfriend, they'd probably wake up laughing from their dreams. The atmosphere was deadlocked when Anna suddenly snapped at Willow and Makoto. Order or get out. Damn, my wife is stunning. What I didn't expect was that Willow went running to my mom and dad with a complaint. That very night on my way back, my parents were already video calling to check in. George, although your mother and I don't really like Willow, that doesn't mean you need to find someone whose circumstances are this modest. Dad was already being very tactful. I looked at the dark silhouette ahead in the snowy night and smiled. Dad, she gets great grades and she's beautiful. My dad is just as much of a face enthusiast as I am. The moment he heard beautiful top student, he switched sides immediately. Well, then there's no harm in trying to date. Mom quickly snatched the phone back. It's true that love doesn't have to depend on family background, but Willow said she works several part-time jobs a month. Her conditions really aren't good. Mom doesn't really approve of you two being together. I'm an only child, doted on by both sides of the family. I know they mean well, but I still couldn't help arguing back. It's not like she'll always be in this situation. Mom fell silent for a moment before asking, what's her name? Anna. Mom, you're not allowed to threaten her. I'm the one who likes her. She doesn't like me. On the screen, Mom looked thoughtful. Dad seized back control and spoke gently, laying down his stance as head of the family. Son, go give it a try. Step 1 to pursuing the campus belle, morning and night greetings, and keeping her company during her part-time shifts. The next day after team training, I rushed straight to the milk tea shop, only to find out Anna had been fired. Someone had filed a complaint against her. She was now working part-time at a bar. I was filled with regret. If it hadn't been for me last night, she wouldn't have made that mistake. Near the south gate of B University was a street lined with bars, nicknamed Degenerate Street, frequented by rich kids indulging in nightlife. By the time I got there, Anna was already drunk. Her long legs stretched lazily, her whole body reclined in the booth. 2 buttons of her shirt were undone, revealing slightly flushed skin and delicate collarbones, an unmistakable air of temptation. I walked over carefully and hooked my finger around her little finger hanging by her side. Anna, She narrowed her eyes, her voice heavy with exhaustion. She responded once and then went quiet again. I never properly apologized for what happened before. I'm sorry. And yesterday I caused you to lose another part-time job. I secretly glanced at her closed eyes, leaned in closer, and couldn't help touching her cheek. I think I've fallen for you. The contact instantly sobered her. She grabbed my hand, her voice low and husky. You'll support me. I will. she replied. Liar. Chapter 5. She tightened her grip, her gaze fierce. George, how many times have you lied to me? I can't even count. So many times. The sorrow and helplessness on Anna's face pierced straight through me. But if I searched my conscience, I had never hurt her that many times. Could it be some emotional debt I'd racked up in the past? I crouched down and looked up at her earnestly. I didn't lie to you. She ruffled the top of my hair. Her voice was unusually gentle, laced with a faint laugh. You little liar. Big sister's broke now. There's nothing left for you to cheat. When she smiled, a small dimple appeared at the corner of her lips. Even someone so cold could show tenderness. Even the most hard-hearted person had a fragile side. I felt a flicker of jealousy toward whoever had once received that kind of gentleness from her. So I followed her words. Then cheat me instead, and you won't cry. Cry about what? I'd do it willingly. Like coaxing a child. I gently tempted her. Be my girlfriend. Okay, your life would be much easier that way. Girlfriend. She let out a low laugh. Don't like Willow anymore. Aren't 4 years of chasing her a waste? I hadn't expected the campus belle to enjoy gossip too. A waste my, MMPH. My eyes flew wide as her face pressed down onto mine. The strong taste of alcohol flooded into my mouth. It felt overwhelming. So this was what kissing felt like. I don't know how long it lasted. She finally pulled away, breathing unevenly, gripping the back of my neck. Following Willow around all day only taught you to talk dirty nonsense. She scolded, frustrated. She had kissed me so thoroughly I felt dizzy. And strangely, she wasn't wrong. I used to be a pure-hearted gentleman. I forced out a bitter smile. But you won't agree to me. You won't teach me either. Fine. Fine. I'll teach you. Just stop looking so miserable. Seizing the opportunity, I pushed further. Then be my girlfriend. I will. Ha. Knew I could win her over. When I woke up again, I realized I had been hugging Anna like a body pillow. I was doomed. I can't sleep without holding onto something. After the bar closed last night, I didn't have my ID with me, so I had brought Anna back to my off-campus apartment. Later, I stayed beside her to take care of her. Somehow, I must have crawled onto the bed and clung to her like a koala. Carefully, I loosened my arms around her, breathing shallowly as I slowly wriggled away. Just when I was almost free, Anna suddenly opened her eyes and scared me half to death. Then, by accident, I touched something I definitely shouldn't have. Anna let out a muffled sound, her expression turning unnatural. George. I'm not that much of a gentleman, I blurted. Right. I'm sorry. Are you okay? Do we need to go to the hospital? She pushed herself up against the headboard. Her gaze was deep, her voice cold. I'm fine. After speaking, she rubbed her chest lightly, her long lashes trembling ever so slightly. Where is this? She asked. My place. George, don't casually bring people home. Her tone sounded like a strict aunt lecturing a child. Not even you. No. I blinked, reached for my phone on the bedside table, and played the recording from last night. Smiling brightly, I said, but you're my girlfriend. It's not like I'd bring just any woman home. But you're my girlfriend. Anna's face darkened so much it looked like ink could drip from it. I scrambled off the bed, retreating to a safe distance while clutching my phone protectively. Soft tactics didn't work, so I tried being bold. Blushing, I stammered. Yesterday, you agreed yourself. You even kissed my lips swollen. Anna rested one arm behind her head, her sharp gaze sweeping over me from top to bottom as if she could see straight through me. She frowned. Go put your shoes on. I glanced down at my bare feet. Now that she mentioned it, it was kind of cold. She was trying to change the subject, but I refused to let it go. Be my girlfriend, I repeated. For extra effect, I lifted my chin deliberately. She let out a helpless laugh. Does it have to be me? I nodded. She was already out of bed. I don't know where she got a pair of shoes from, but she tossed them in front of me. Even her tone had changed. Fine, I'll agree. Chapter 6. If I find out you're lying to me again. Her gaze drifted down to my legs, and she spoke in a low, eerie tone. I'll break them. All 3 of them. Holy crap. So she's the obsessive, possessive type. My legs are more important than my life. How could they just be broken like that? This girl is seriously terrifying. I slipped on my shoes and inched quietly toward the door. Then maybe we shouldn't talk about this. Without another word, I bolted. But before I could even step half a foot outside the room, she grabbed me and dragged me back. She pinned me against the wall. Danger flickered in her eyes as she uttered a single word. Too late. I trembled in fright, shaking my head desperately. No, I won't mess with you anymore. All I wanted was a top student girlfriend, not a Yandere girlfriend. Don't cry. A pair of hands suddenly wrapped around my waist and pushed me back toward the bed. Anna stood by the bedside, leaning down slightly. Her fingers brushed my cheek with surprising gentleness. Her tone softened a lot. Think it through before you answer. My family background might become a burden to you. Geo love, have you thought it through? She was incredibly good at flirting. The way she said, "Geo love" was dangerously alluring. Other than Willow when I was little, she was the only other person who had ever called me that. I pulled her into my arms and kissed the corner of her lips. "Girlfriend, it's official, your first day on the job." And just like that, I successfully won over Anna, the campus belle. Anna still wore her usual cold expression. She juggled multiple responsibilities and was so busy she could barely catch her breath. Yet she would still make time for me. Maybe it was just my imagination, but only after we started dating did I finally sense normal human emotions from her. She would get angry, she would laugh, and she would even whisper some bold, flirty lines. She remembered all my preferences, patiently tutored me without complaint, and would rub my head while scolding me with a smile. "You're hopeless." Every time, I'd stick out my tongue and act shameless. "Nye nye nye. I just can't get it." Just when I thought sweet romance had finally come my way, we broke up. I was the one who brought it up. Here's what happened. After we got together, Anna would tirelessly cook for me. She always used the highest quality ingredients. I was afraid she'd spend all the money she had saved. That evening after class, she said she wanted to make sukiyaki for me and even buy snowflake wagyu, something an ordinary college student simply couldn't afford. I said lightly, "Then I'll go buy the ingredients." She replied, "No need, I have money." Yeah, right. Her skirt had been washed so many times it was fading white, and her phone was still a model from years ago. How could she possibly have money? Even if she collected scholarships like trophies, she couldn't sustain spending like that. I puffed out my cheeks and tried to sound a little fierce. "Then forget it. Let's just eat near campus. Geo love, be good. You're not used to that kind of food." "It's fine." I got stubborn. That way, she wouldn't have to spend so much money. I'm such a clever little genius. Hee hee. Turns out Anna was right. My stomach is fragile. Halfway through the meal, I had an acute gastroenteritis attack and ended up in the hospital. I was drenched in sweat from the pain, clutching Anna's hand and refusing to let go, crying out instinctively, "It hurts, Anna, it hurts." Her eyes were full of heartache, wishing she could suffer in my place. "Be good. Once the painkiller injection kicks in, it won't hurt anymore." She was right. After the injection took effect, the pain disappeared. I've been sickly since I was little and have been hospitalized many times. The worst time, I stayed nearly half a year before recovering. My parents dote on me obsessively. I'm their only son, and they've always given me the best material life. Maybe I'm just too used to high-end cuisine. My stomach couldn't handle the hygiene standards of a small restaurant all of a sudden. When I get sick, I tend to become difficult. I didn't want Anna to see me like that. I squeezed her fingers and said, "I'm fine now. Go back and rest. Be good. I'll stay with you." Her voice was tender and lingering. I knew she blamed herself, but the gentler and more attentive she acted, the more guilty and uneasy I felt. "I won't let this happen to you again," she said, leaning down to kiss my fingertips. "She's really wonderful, so wonderful I don't know how to keep her. I don't want her to exhaust herself like this, and I don't want to crush her pride by throwing a huge sum of money at her." I pleaded with her. "Can you not work so hard? I can eat that food. Today was just an accident. George, I know your body better than anyone, but I don't want our relationship to crush you." She fell silent, saying nothing, but I saw her hand curl unconsciously. I had hurt her pride after all. With my eyes closed, trying my best not to see her expression, I said, "Anna, let's break up." Chapter 7. The hospital room was eerily silent. The steady drip of the four echoed sharply, amplifying the sense of urgency in the air. I don't know how much time passed before I heard the scrape of a chair. Anna's voice was hoarse, her tone sinking to the very depths. "It's my fault. Our relationship had started abruptly, and it ended just as abruptly. For nearly half a month, I wandered around in a daze. The only thing that replayed endlessly in my mind was that sentence she had spoken in the hospital room. So powerless, yet there was nothing I could change. For the first time, I hated myself for having such a useless body. Well, if it isn't our young master George. Heard the campus bell. Anna dumped you." A figure swaggered into my path and blocked me. I lifted my eyelids and glanced at him. It was Makoto's lackey, Ben Dover. His family background was neither high nor low, yet he always carried a ridiculous sense of superiority, as if he were born above everyone else. Ben Dover lifted his chin and continued in a mocking tone, "The campus belle. Anna has already gone abroad. I think someone should just give up already. Then again, without the chance to compete, you've got plenty of time to sit around and mope." I was completely baffled. "What are you talking about?" "It means you've been kicked out." Ben Dover grinned so wide it almost reached his ears. Smugly, he pulled out his phone and scrolled to a string of WeChat messages. One of the screenshots showed a chat between Makoto and someone else. The other person blatantly handed over the year-end city basketball tournament captain position to Makoto. "You know the little princess of the orange group, right? Her family's sponsoring this competition. Our Makoto is her boyfriend now." Ben Dover looked unbearably proud, as if he were the one chosen by the heiress. I stood frozen, a buzzing filling my ears. For a moment, I didn't know whether I should refute him or go demand answers. Of course I knew the Orange Group's little princess, Sophia. She's my cousin, the younger sister who has listened to me since we were kids. Ben Dover walked off in the posture of a victor. The contempt in his eyes was something I still couldn't forget. When I snapped back to my senses, I couldn't help worrying about my cousin's taste in men. I immediately pulled out my phone and called her. She picked up quickly. My cousin's sweet voice came through. "Cousin, what's up?" I got straight to the point. "I heard you're dating a guy from our school." "Ah, yeah." She paused for a moment, laughter laced in her voice. "He's on the school team too. You two probably know each other." My heart sank halfway to the ground. My cousin was clearly head over heels for Makoto. Of course. A guy who had been single from birth to adulthood versus a player who treats love like a game. Total defeat. Speechless, I said. "Sophia, do you know that the tournament spot your little boyfriend took was originally mine? Maybe it was the heartbreak from the breakup. Or maybe it was Makoto snatching things from me again and again. Either way, my emotions finally hit their limit. My resentment surged up, and my voice caught slightly. My cousin immediately panicked. "Cousin, I'm sorry. I really didn't know. I won't help him take your spot, but he already took it." She probably thought I was being petty. She gave a helpless laugh. "I can't just break up over that, can I?" There was no way I was going to let her sink deeper into love-struck stupidity and fall into Makoto's trap. I deliberately stammered. "He has a girlfriend. It's Willow." The other end of the line went completely silent. I knew my cousin understood what I meant. That very night, Makoto confronted me downstairs in the dormitory building. All pretenses torn away, he was furious, practically roaring at me. "George, I broke up with Willow a long damn time ago. How did you get my girlfriend's contact information? She dumped me." "Happy now?" "Of course I'm happy. My cousin is such a good girl. How could I let someone like you ruin her?" A crowd had already gathered around us, watching the spectacle. People were starting to whisper and point. Chapter 8. I deliberately raised my voice and shot back. "You getting dumped has nothing to do with me. You were with Willow just last month, and now you've already broken up and moved on to the little princess of the Orange Group. Makoto, should I say you're impressive, or really impressive?" Watching the tide turn and Makoto's face grow paler by the second, my mood suddenly lifted. I actually didn't know at first. "If you want to blame someone, blame your good buddy." I deliberately dragged out the last words, smiling innocently. "Ben Dover," he told me. Makoto's eyes burned with fury. He stiffly turned his head toward Ben Dover. "You told her?" Ben Dover panicked immediately, scrambling to deny it. Not me, not me. Makoto." The two of them argued for a long time, even digging up old grudges. I found it boring and turned to leave. Makoto suddenly called out to me. He stared at me without blinking and mouthed the words, "I won't let you off." I didn't take his threat seriously. I was the captain of the school basketball team, and the sponsor was the Orange Group. I didn't believe he could pull off anything major. But on the actual day of the match, I learned just how vicious a person could be. Makoto had bribed one of my teammates. At the moment I jumped for a shot, that teammate deliberately rammed into me, throwing off my center of gravity and sending me crashing hard to the ground. The arena descended into chaos. The coach and the team started arguing, pushing blame back and forth. Not a single person cared about how I was doing. A piercing pain shot through my ankle, and in that moment, I missed Anna more than anything. Was she being chased by lots of guys abroad? Was she still juggling multiple jobs every day just to get by? I don't know how much time passed before someone finally helped me to the back to rest. The buzzing of arguments still rang in my ears. No one could calm down long enough to deal with the real problem. Enough. A furious shout silenced all the messy noise at once. Then I saw Anna, dressed in a white professional skirt suit, striding quickly toward me. She bent down in front of me, her eyes full of heartache. "Gio love, I'm here." My eyes burned with tears. I wrapped my arms around her waist and wailed, "Didn't we break up? You already went abroad, why did you come back?" She rubbed my head gently, her voice so tender it almost felt unreal. "Silly, who said we broke up?" My head felt foggy. If she hadn't contacted me for half a month, wasn't that basically a silent breakup? I voiced my confusion. She took a handkerchief out of her pocket and wiped the sweat from my forehead while explaining, "I had some matters to deal with overseas. Let's get you to the hospital first." After saying that, she helped me into a black Maybach and directly instructed the driver in front to head to the hospital. From the examination, to the results, to being admitted into a VIP ward, I remained in a dazed state the entire time. When did Anna become this wealthy? Could it be? A terrible thought crept into my mind. Had Anna been kept by some rich foreign tycoon? After paying the fees, Anna walked back into the room. Seeing me frowning deeply, she asked with concern, "Gio love, does it still hurt?" I gave her a meaningful look. Everything she was wearing was clearly custom haute couture. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to accept what I thought was the truth. In a muffled voice, I asked, "Anna, are you already with someone else?" She looked utterly confused and sat down by the bed, asking if there was anywhere else I felt unwell. No, just my heart feels a little unwell. Chapter 9. The moment she heard that, she immediately panicked. I stopped her and said slowly, "Are you with someone else? How did you suddenly become so rich? I can give you that much money too." She froze when she heard that. The expression on her face stiffened instantly. It was almost frightening. I regretted it immediately. She had already used what I thought was, kept by a sugar daddy, money to pay for my treatment. And I was still stabbing her right in the heart. "I'm sore." Before I could finish apologizing, her warm lips pressed against mine. One hand held the back of my head as she kissed me, fierce, yet restrained. When the kiss ended, she let out an exasperated laugh. "You think I'm being kept by someone?" I nodded. My lips still stung from where she'd bitten them. "You're hopeless. How can you be such a little idiot?" "Huh?" She called me a little idiot. And then it clicked. She wasn't being kept by anyone. I instantly brightened. "So you're still my girlfriend?" She shot me a look full of disdain. "My boyfriend clearly injured his leg. Why does it feel like he injured his brain instead?" I was speechless. She hadn't changed at all, still as sharp-tongued as ever. I was about to ask more when my phone suddenly rang. I glanced at the screen. It was my mom. She must have heard about what happened tonight. As soon as I picked up, her anxious voice came through. "Son, where are you? Is it serious?" "I'm at the hospital. It's a hairline fracture in my ankle, Mom. I want to go home." As I spoke, my vision started to blur again. Okay, your dad will send a car right away. Be good. Don't panic." After hanging up, I immediately sent my dad my location. Only then did I notice my WeChat had been flooded with messages. Even Willow had, for once, sent me a message asking if I was okay. I ignored them. After assuring the people closest to me that I was fine, I put my phone down and returned to the main issue. I played with Anna's hand, thinking about our previous Cold War. I was still a little annoyed and began listing her crimes. "You gave me the silent treatment. You didn't send me a single message. You went abroad without telling me." She narrowed her eyes, a dangerous aura emanating from her. Then she shifted positions and wrapped her arms around my neck. "Who was the one who suggested breaking up?" she asked in return. "Well," I immediately laughed it off and coaxed her, leaning into her arms and saying sweet things. "Geo love, you're not allowed to mention breaking up again." "Okay." My parents arrived quickly. I could only imagine the pressure the driver must have been under. "George." I had been kissing Anna when my mom's stern, upright voice suddenly rang out, startling me so badly I nearly jumped. I had no choice but to brace myself and step forward. "Mom, this is my girlfriend, Anna. She's always treated me very well, and she's super rich now." I thought my mom would scold me and then immediately take me home to fuss over me, but she didn't. The hospital room fell into silence. Nothing but silence. My parents' expressions were complicated. I couldn't quite find the right words to describe them, but I was certain there was definitely some kind of history between them and Anna. Anna was the first to break the silence. She stepped forward. "Auntie, I didn't take good care of Geo love." What? My jaw practically dropped. How dare she call me Geo love right in front of my mom? What was even stranger was that my mom suddenly smiled. She patted Anna on the shoulder. "You've had it hard, Anna. So you two finally ended up together after all. How are your parents?" "They're doing well. They'll be back in the country in a few days." I stared at them in total confusion, as if witnessing a long-lost mother and daughter reunion. Since when were they this close? I couldn't help blurting out, "You know each other?" My mom smiled. "Silly child. Since you're already together, I won't keep it from you anymore." She explained everything. Anna and I were the real childhood sweethearts. Willow had only happened to enter my life during the period when I lost my memory, filling in the blank spaces I couldn't remember. No wonder Willow never tutored me anymore, never treated me gently anymore, never called me little idiot, because they weren't the same person at all. That winter, I fell seriously ill after jumping into the water to save Anna from drowning. Her parents blamed everything on her. They were afraid she would aggravate my condition again, so they decided to move the whole family abroad. But Anna didn't leave to stay by my side. She almost cut off contact with her parents. My parents had once tried to persuade her to live with us. Out of guilt, she refused. She didn't dare reveal her identity to me. Yet she also refused to give in and go abroad to take over the family business. I was so moved I cried uncontrollably. "Why didn't any of you tell me?" My parents didn't even know where to begin explaining. Anna walked over and wiped my tears. "Baby, I chose this willingly." That only made me cry harder. "Anna, you're such a fool.